Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mary, and today I want to talk to you about all the books that I've read in the month of January. I had a very good reading month. My reading goal for this year is to read 65 books. And to give you a bit of context, I'm just out of school. I just graduated back in December. Yay me! It's going to be my first year out of uni, and I'm kind of expecting to read more than I usually do because I won't be as busy as before. So my goal for now is to read 65 books in the year of 2021. And so far, I'm ahead. What? I've never been ahead on my reading channel since forever. So in the month of January, I'm glad to say that I finished 8 books. 2 of them were mangas and all the other ones were novels. So we'll just go quickly through everything I've read in the month of January. So the first book I completed technically on January 1st. It still counts for my January wrap-up. So the book I've completed on the first day of January was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. We're following the main character who works for the government. His job is to kind of inspect those homes and make sure that they are suitable for those kids. At the beginning of the book, you see him living a pretty monotonous life, and he just kind of goes through it, doesn't expect anything out of the ordinary, and is feeling pretty comfortable where he's at. The story really kicks off when he gets a new case to work on, which is much more difficult than the one he worked with before. He will meet the caretaker and the kids and slowly fall in love with them and see that his life maybe doesn't have to be so standard and so repetitive, and maybe going out of his comfort zone could bring him to a new place that's even better to where he was before. So I rated this book 5 stars. At the moment I read it, I just needed something to pick me up, you know. We just came out of the holidays, we didn't have the opportunity to connect with our families in the same way that we used to in the years before, and I really needed something to pick me up, make me feel a bit better, and that book was it for me. It was very sweet, it was heartwarming, and I myself have worked for the government before, and I could see some patterns that, yeah, there might be a bit cliche, but they're true. It's true that when you work for the government, it's pretty, procedural. There's not a lot of margin for taking your own decision. You have to follow the rules. So I did like that aspect, and I like the characters. And most of times when I read about kids in books, I find them a bit annoying. But in this one, I thought that they were very wholesome, very cute. And yeah, if you have the opportunity to read that one, I think you should. It's pretty good. The second book I read in January was The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I've read last year Of Mice and Men by him, and I was intrigued by his book because he seems to be a very important figure in American literature. So I basically wanted to know more about him, and I always try to sprinkle a classic here and there in my reading year, just, because I'm curious about them. I like to learn about those references that are often brought up in other media. All that to say that I didn't like Of Mice and Men that much. I thought it was very interesting. I like the explanations that you get once you analyze it, but I don't like reading his books. So to go back to The Pearl is a very short story, and it's about that guy that finds a pearl that has a lot of value and how people will turn greedy all around him. So in itself, it's a super interesting concept, but in practice, I find that John Steinbeck writing is a bit condescending. I feel like he looks down a lot on his characters, and I don't know, I'm just not a fan of reading him for fun. I do like the analysis that are made on his work, but I'm not enjoying reading his book that much. So I don't know if I'll pick something else. If I ever do, is going to be that one. And if I don't like my reading experience with that one as well, I don't think I'll ever read anything else by that author. But all that to say, I didn't really like The Pearl. I gave it 2 stars, and always remember that my ratings are on my own personal enjoyment. So yeah, 2 stars for The Pearl. Wasn't my favorite. I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's super short, so you could just read it and make your own mind. But if I had to choose between Of Mice and Men and The Pearl, I'd rather read Of Mice and Men. The next book I read this month was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this book is a thriller, and it's about that woman that killed her husband. And since the day that she killed her husband, well, she hasn't spoken a word. And we're following a therapist who's trying to uncover the mystery of why she killed her husband. Did she really kill him, or are just people assuming that she did? So the premise of this story is super intriguing. I wanted to know what was going on with the wife that's silent. She was all that was interesting to me. I really wanted the story to focus a bit more on her. The thing is, in the story, we're mainly following the guy, the therapist. And you know, I think that in thrillers, it's common that the protagonists aren't made to be likable characters. Like, they're made to be flawed, they're made to be unreliable, and all of that. But I didn't like him. I didn't think he was any interesting. Sorry if you did, but I wanted to know about the patient. I didn't care about him, and we were following so much of his mumbo jumbo that was going on. So that really tainted my appreciation. And other thing that tainted my appreciation of that novel was the twist. There's a big revelation at the end, as in much, you know, thrillers books have that kind of pivoting moment. And I personally didn't find it quite believable. I didn't like it that much. I know a lot of people do, though. And in my personal opinion, if you ever decide to pick up this book, whether or not you're liking the twist at the end will make you enjoy or not the book in general. So with all of that being said, I would still recommend it if you like thrillers. I think the premise is super interesting, and the execution could be something you enjoy depending on your personal taste. For me, it was a miss. Didn't like the protagonist, didn't like the twist. So I gave it a 3 star because I still can recognize that maybe some people will enjoy it, just not me. After that, I read Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hebert. This is a romance, and in it we're following Danny Brown, which is a literature PhD. I don't remember if she's studying for a PhD or if she actually got it and she's teaching. Anywho, she's teaching in a university, and she's a fan of literature, and she's also kind of into witchy stuff, and she wishes to find the best buddy in the next couple of months, because she doesn't do engagement. And on the other hand, we're following the male protagonist, which is a ex-rugby player who kind of lived through some traumatic events. And he is a softie. He loves to read romance, but on the outside, he looks very grumpy. He's the security agent at the university where Danny works. So this is a friends to lover kind of story, since the 2 characters already know each other. For me, the strong points of this novel were the dialogues. I loved them. They were full of sass, they were full of banter, and they didn't feel any cringy. I thought that the author had a great sense of humor, and it could be seen throughout the novel. In the end, I really liked it, and I gave it a 4 star. After that, I read volume 4 and 5 of the manga series The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. And in those 2 volumes, we're just following the story from where we left it off in volume 3. And things are getting a bit spicier. We're getting somewhere. I was saying in my series I want to continue in 2021 how I thought that this series was a bit slow, but I think that we're kind of picking up right now, and I think that volume 6 and 7 might be a bit more in action packed, and maybe we are going to have some answers to some mysteries where we've been wondering since volume 1. So if you don't know what it's about, it's a manga series about that world where there are outsiders that are kind of like those creatures that if they touch someone, well, that someone will get infected and become an other, and those other are kind of seen as very dangerous. And we're following that other that's kind of more, is different from the other one, and he found that little girl that even though she's touched, she's not changing. And we're following the mystery surrounding why is she not changing when people are touching her. And yeah, so far it's very good. And I'm not giving rating to manga series before I'm done with them, because I think that the way mangas are structured, you only get some glimpse of the story in each volume. And you know, there are some volumes that are going to be more action packed, those volumes that are going to be more set up to kind of give you the information that you need. So I prefer to rate them as a whole, that as volume per volume. But at the end, when I give my rating, I'm going to tell you which one were my favorite volumes in the whole experience. I'm not giving it a rating right now, but I'm going to say that I really enjoy it. I would recommend it. The art style is very whimsical, it's very atmospheric, and I would recommend it if you're interested in mangas.
Hi, this is Future Mary. I just realized I forgot to record myself reviewing Blood of Elves. In this series, we're following Geralt, which is a witcher, a person that has been modified, a mutant, and his only purpose in life is to kill monsters to the one who will pay him some coins to do so. And in this volume, we're following him, Ciri, Yennefer, and all the other characters that we've come to love, as they are more and more realizing that a war is coming up. To review it, I would have to say that the main thing that bugged me in this one were the sexism and the dialogues. Aren't always that good. They are very long. They feel a bit pointless because there's rarely ever some payoff to what the people have been discussing about for some pages and pages and pages. And this volume in particular had a huge portion of it that I was bored throughout. When we're following Ciri and Yennefer together, loved it. When we're following Dandelion, loved it. But yeah, the middle of this one was just kind of a pain to go through, and I wouldn't give it more than a 2.75 stars. Hope that the next one will be good, but this one was very so-so for me.
The last book I completed in January was The Bear and the Nightingale. It's kind of hard to describe, I'd say, without giving too much away. So it's basically a fantasy story, and it's inspired of a, if I'm not wrong, it's inspired by a Russian folklore tale. In this world, witches are really seen as bad people, and we're following a family, and one of the kids, one of the girls, kind of has some powers. You can see some mythical creature and etc. And we're following that family trying to manage a lot of things that are going on. So my resume won't be too precise because it's that kind of book that so much happens in it, and you're better to go into it pretty blind and just enjoy the ride. So that's what I did. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star, and I'll be picking up definitely the next volume eventually. It's a trilogy and it's completed, so if you want to binge it out, hey, everything's out. So yeah, I really did like it. I would recommend it. So that's it, guys. Those were all the books I've read in January. Let me know down below how your reading goal is going right now, if you've read any of those books, and I'll see you in my next one next week. Bye.